Welcome back. This is Around the Crown. We're talking all things Sacramento Kings and beyond. Join the royal family by hitting that subscribe button. And if you're a Kings fan, you might as well smash up that like button. So, Calvin, we're talking about the starting lineup again. This is probably like the 10th podcast in a row we've talked about the starting lineup. Deficiencies been pissing me off recently, actually, due to all these shots that he takes just early on in the shot clock. I know it's like the Curry situation, right? Where it's like you see the shot and you're like, no. But then if he makes it, you're like, oh, okay, that was a good shot. Yeah. But he's not making these shots. We saw him have a good shooting performance in the last game. Other than that, he hasn't really shot
only
well.
Had one good shooting performance.
1 of 5 tonight from three-point range. A lot of those were early in the shot clock. I'm not really happy with those shots, but I love his energy. I love his effort. I love his defense. I think he needs to start.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, I certainly wouldn't be – you can't be disappointed at this point if they decide to start DiVincenzo. I'm seeing a comment. Who said it in here? Buddha. Justin Holiday is like Buddy with better defense. I think DiVincenzo has played much more like Buddy with better defense to this point. I mean, Justin Holiday, yeah, he's been up and down shooting, but he doesn't take the early shot clock shots that aren't open. He only takes, he doesn't go out of his way to force shots up. He takes them within the offense, coming off of screens and getting good looks, getting good passes. It's just a question of does he make it or not. DiVincenzo is a guy who he comes in and he's trying to be the spark plug for them offensively. He's getting shots up early and often, as we mentioned. So that to me looks more like Buddy Hield with better defense than Justin Holiday does.
Yeah. I think the main thing here is the Kings are just trying to find who is going to be the starting shooting guard next to De'Aaron Fox. We all thought it was going to be Buddy Hield in the beginning, right? We're like, think about a guy that complements De'Aaron Fox the best, right? As a shooter, a guy that loves to run. That's Buddy Hield. I think Buddy Hield's run like the most out of any player in the NBA this season. He's constantly running. He's constantly moving. That didn't work out. You put in Tyrese Halliburton. When Fox played well, Tyrese didn't play well. When Tyrese played well, Fox didn't play well. It didn't quite work out. Now they're trying Holiday. Maybe next week will be DiVincenzo. The Kings need to figure out this spot. And that brings me to my next question, Calvin. Should the Kings have gone after C.J. McCollum?
Well, just like I said, you can't be disappointed at this point if they start DiVincenzo over Holiday. I don't think anybody would have been disappointed if C.J. McCollum ended up on this team. I think him and Fox would have actually played really well together because C.J. has a lot of experience playing alongside a point guard that's ball dominant and looks to score all the time, right?
Yep.
He's used to that. So, sure, I don't think it definitely wouldn't have been a bad thing. But you're still, if you get C.J. McCollum instead of Sabonis, you still have a bunch of holes on this roster overall, right? Like, you still have more work to do.
I don't know if it needs to be or. It could have been an and, because I'm looking here at the deal. C.J. McCollum, Larry Nance, Tony Snell. I call him Tony Smells. To New Orleans for Josh Hart, Tomas Satoransky, Alexander Walker, a first-round pick, and 2 future second-round picks. And that first-round pick is actually this year's, and it's protected, which, I'm an advocate for protected first-round picks. The Kings could have came up with a deal like this, and they probably could have got Sabonis as well.
It's much easier for us to sit here and say the Kings could have come up with a deal like this than for it to actually happen. I think that needs to be taken into account. But, yeah, who in their right mind wouldn't say that the Kings would be looking sweet right now if they were able to trade for both Sabonis and C.J. McCollum?
Captain Obvious says, I think we need to get rid of Fox.
I mean, that's what people have been saying all year long. Like, I don't. It's really hard to decide whether or not that needs to happen. I think for Sacramento, because all things considered, the guy he got off to a really, really slow start.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, people were deservedly so ragging on him and bagging on him for the early part of the season. But you look at his numbers, he has not more than steadily improved over the course of the season. I mean, he's coming close to the realm of what he was at numbers wise last year. He's not going to get there, but he's, in the window now for those same types of numbers. The question mark for him is just going to continue to be defensive effort, leadership, all that stuff. So I think it's still a little unfair, though, to him to judge him when he doesn't play on a good team overall.
Yeah.
And even though, that, like I said, that the talent on this roster is better than when the season started, they're still not a good team.
Yeah. I think it's kind of funny because early on in the season, or actually coming into the season, everyone's talking about, wow, De'Aaron Fox is jacked. He gained this much weight, all this, because everyone's been talking his whole career. He needs to gain some weight. He needs to bulk up. He needs to get a little bit bigger. If he's going to be battling inside and getting, and ones and stuff like that, he needs to gain weight. He gained a bunch of weight. We heard Tyrese Halliburton call him fat, right? I think he was joking. Then he comes in and he seems like he is fat, right? Like he starts off really sluggish to the season. I don't know if it's a mental thing or if it's a physical thing. I feel for him. When you're the man and you're taking a team and this is like your first max year, you're doing all the work in the offseason, you're trying to get this team somewhere, and you have guys like Bagley and Buddy that don't want to be here, that are on the court with you, that are not playing defense, that are, fumbling the ball and giving it up. That makes your job a lot harder. So I definitely feel for Fox. That being said, nobody on this roster is untradeable for me right now. If I did have an untradeable guy, it was Tyrese Halliburton, and he got traded.
Yeah.
This is not a knock against Fox. This is not a knock against Sabonis. It's not a knock against anybody. The job of the GM is to bring in better talent and make your team better. I'm not trading Fox just to trade Fox. If I'm trading Fox and a pick, I need to get a surefire perennial all-star or somebody that's going to take this team to the next level. I'm not just trading anybody to trade people. And the same goes for Sabonis. The same goes for Rashawn Holmes. For any of these guys, I'm trading to upgrade. I'm not trading to step back. I think that time is past. Maybe at the trade deadline, if you're like, okay, we're going to trade a guy for future talent, future picks, we're going to rebuild the rest of the season and move on. Maybe that was your opportunity, but that ship sailed already. Yeah. I'm only trading any of these guys to help improve the roster, and that goes for Fox, anybody on this roster.
Yeah, I have to agree with that absolutely. And I mean, in terms of De'Aaron Fox's development as a player, like he's gotten better as a player every year he's been in the league. We talked about him being a fringe all-star player last year. I realize this season hasn't been as consistent or quite the same, but what are his biggest deficiencies? 3-point shooting, free throw shooting. Mm-hmm. His free throw shooting's been much better this season. It's still not where you want it to be, but it's been much better this season. The 3-point shooting is not there, but he doesn't, in my opinion, he doesn't need a 3-point shot to be a really good player in this league.
Yeah.
And DeMar DeRozan is a perfect example of that. He should be a absolute killer in the mid-range, which he is. He needs to be a more consistent two-way player. Like he has to be one of the best, if not the best, defender on the floor night in and night out for him to really take the next step into superstardom.
Yeah. And Andrew, you could trade Fox and a pick for an all-star. Sabonis is an all-star. We didn't have to trade an all-star to get him. So you are able to get all-stars without giving up all-stars. I like this. Herbert Smokin' Herb by the Curb Jones. I like that name. Fox is a beast. He just needs that outside shot. He really does. And he needs to bring it consistently.
That would change everything for him if he was to be able to knock down the three consistently.
Yeah. And he needs to bring it every night.
I still think he's a great player in this league, even if he doesn't ever develop a 3-point shot. Yeah. If he does all those other things, becomes really good on defense every single night, continues to get better at the free throw line so that he's a consistent 80+% free throw shooter every season. If he does that and they get another player on this team, now we're talking.
Yeah. And speaking of which, Herbert, I don't know if you've ever seen Phoenix Jones, but if you guys want to go down like a YouTube wormhole and waste a couple hours but have a great time doing it, check out Phoenix Jones. He's a real-life superhero in Seattle. I got on this tangent yesterday. I was talking to Skip from Sacktown Breakdown. We were talking about the new Impound comic movie that's hopefully going to be coming out if they're able to get enough funding. Next time you guys are at Golden One Center, check out Impound Comics. It's right across the way below Punch Bowl Social and a little bit towards just like the K Street bars and all that stuff. But anyways, they're trying to launch a movie, and I guess Impound was partially modeled after this guy, Phoenix Jones, who's a real-life person. He's a real-life superhero, and he fights crime in Seattle. Watch the rise and fall of Phoenix Jones on YouTube. It is absolutely incredible.
Maybe we should do a show on Phoenix Jones instead of the Kings. It might be more entertaining.
Andrew says, here's the facts. McNair has drafted 2 guards in a row. He didn't think Fox could get it done, and the rest of the league agrees. That's why Ty was traded for an all-star. I mean, I don't know him well enough to make that assumption.
If that's the case, why didn't he trade De'Aaron Fox?
Yeah.
If he doesn't think De'Aaron Fox can get it done.
And I don't know if you can make that assumption. You know, he said he was going to draft best available. Those were the 2 best players that he thought were available. If a forward was available that he thought was best, he would have taken a forward.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I would love to pick Monty McNair's brain and find out exactly what he was thinking at the time that he drafted both those guys, Halliburton and Davion Mitchell. If it really was about, Fox's question marks as a franchise player, or if it was, strictly best available. Is it really that obvious, though? I mean, I don't know. Without talking to the guy, I'm not sure you can say it's that obvious.
Yeah. All right, moving on here. Let's talk about coaching again. As I mentioned, Calvin, during the first quarter of this game, I was really excited. I was having an awesome time. The Kings were playing good basketball. They made some threes. De'Aaron Fox made a 3 early in the game. HB was shooting well from three-point range. They were talking great about Alvin Gentry, and I was thinking to myself, I was like, the Kings could win this game. They could win tomorrow's game. The Lakers are sucking. Portland's falling apart. The Kings actually have a chance here. No matter if they make it or not, maybe Gentry is the guy for this team. All the things I mentioned earlier. He loves to play up-tempo. That's what the Kings have wanted, right? He's a respected guy around the league. He's got a ton of experience. He was a great coach for the Pelicans. He's able to manage personalities, stuff like that. Maybe he just needs more time. He needs a training camp. He needs to bring in his own assistant coaches that fit his style, that help him out. I want to hear your thoughts on Gentry. Me personally, I wouldn't be completely disappointed if he were to return next season as the head coach. And the reason I say that is because we all talk about Monty putting a stamp on this team. Monty hired Alvin Gentry. So there had to be something that Monty saw in Gentry to bring him to this team.
He hired him as an assistant.
Yeah.
Not as a head coach. So, take that for what you will. But, I mean, a lot of the things that I would say about Gentry, I've already said here. There is so much truth to having a coach that has a style of play and a system in place and all that stuff. Those are all necessary. They're needed. When Dave Yeager and Mike Malone were the coach of the Kings, everybody praises them as being exactly what this team needed, and they both were let go.
Not Yeager. Yeager until they had some success, but early on they're like, this guy can't coach a young team.
But that's my point exactly, though, is those two guys are, right now, in hindsight, considered by most Kings fans to be people that they would have wanted to hang around.
Yes.
The team was still a really bad defensive team, even with those guys. So that's my point. Like, until the team gets better on defense, yes, coaching is a huge, huge part of it. But, man, you just have to be – you cannot be a bottom 3 team in the league in defensive rating every single year and then expect us to all be like, well, they've got a chance to make the playoffs this year.
Yeah.
because as the season goes on, they just roll through the same phases, throughout the course of the season, to where they give you a little bit of hope. They win a few games. They look much better because they shoot ridiculously well from outside and they score a ton of points, but they give up a ton of points too. And then they go through those lulls where they don't shoot as well and they don't score a lot of points and they get blown out by 30 like they did tonight.
Yeah, I think Dave Yeager is back from his cancer treatments, and I think he's back on the sidelines with the Philadelphia 76ers. So I think everything's going well for him at this point. But, hey, I'd be happy to bring him back. Brandon Williams is gone, so, he doesn't have anybody to beef with in the front office. I still think he's probably like, we should have taken Doncic, which I think every single Kings fan agrees with him at that point. RP says, what do Malone and Yeager have in common? They discipline their players.
It's a good point. It's a good point.
Yeah, I think they also have in common is they're both on winning teams right now.
Also, very fair.
I mean, it's not just one thing at this point with this team. It's multiple things. And I think they've taken steps in the right direction. Now we have a competent front office. Like I said, we have our draft picks. We don't have any bad contracts on this team. Some people might argue De'Aaron Fox is on a bad contract or Harrison Barnes. I don't agree with that. I don't think there's a single bad contract on this Kings team right now. They have flexibility going into the offseason. We talked about in the last stream, they have about $20 million in cap space right now. It could be more if they rescind guys and stuff like that. They were able to bring in high IQ guys. They just need time to gel. They need to figure it out. They need a full offseason. Part of this could go on the shoulders of Monty McNair, and bringing guys like Buddy Hield and Marvin Bagley into the season with the Kings and potentially, giving up on this season. But I think he's done everything in his power to set this team up for future success. Kings are going to have another good draft pick here. And I'm really positive on next season, Calvin. I really am.
Yeah, I mean, it's still incomplete in terms of, Monty McNair's grade as GM, in terms of where this team, could eventually get to. Like, the whole thing is still incomplete. There's more work that needs to be done, both from the front office and from the players.
Dennis says, I think Vinny Squat's shirt will be my first Royal Rebounds purchase.
Right.
Dennis, it'll be coming out soon, I promise you. We're just trying to perfect the designs. Unfortunately, we're perfectionists here at Royal Rebounds, and so it takes us a little bit longer to get things out, but we want them to be perfect. So we'll let you know as soon as that thing is ready. All right, Calvin, I'm ready to talk about the main subject here. It's something we've never talked about before. It's tanking. I hope you guys could sense my I was being facetious. Is it time to tank for Sacramento?
Well, the question is, does that look any different than what they're already doing? I mean, yes, you can say, well, if they were tanking, they would have lost to Oklahoma City the other night. But
they're tanking too.
They're tanking also, and even if the Kings lost every game for the rest of the season, there's still a chance that they wouldn't end up with the top two picks. They'd obviously have better odds, but like they might not be intentionally trying to lose games right now, but they're pretty damn close to tanking already.
Yeah. Yeah, Rick Adelman is not dead, so I don't think he has a ghost yet at this point, but I don't really know how ghosts work, but I don't want to wish anything bad on him. So hopefully Rick Adelman is doing well and healthy. What's up, Key Kings? Good to see you here.
And to go back to the schedule the rest of the way, the schedule is tough enough that they might tank, by default, right? Like they're not going to intentionally try to lose those games, but they're going to lose most of those games.
Which could be a best case scenario, right? Like, we don't want the mindset to change to let's lose games. We want these guys to still win games or try and win games. We want them to work on chemistry, stuff like that. But at the same time, we want a better draft pick. and we don't want to like break their spirits, right?
Right. I mean, if this team really decided to tank for the final, 17, 18 games, they would start sitting starters. I mean, they'd shut down Fox, they'd shut down Sabonis, things like that. That would signal officially to everyone, all right, guys, this season's over. The goal right now is the best draft pick we can possibly get.
Do you think that happens?
I don't think that happens, but I've been wrong in the past. So,
all right. Speaking of tanking, Vinny, can you show my screen here? Let's have a little fun here. I don't know if you guys use this website or not. I've brought it up here multiple times. It's one of my favorite websites. Maybe it's because I'm a Kings fan. Maybe because this is what I've been using over the past 10 years to try and figure out what draft pick we're going to have. Tankathon.com. This is the current standings, and let's sim the lottery here. Oh, man, that's not good. Kings fall to 7th. We can look here at the mock draft. Calvin, we've talked about this multiple times, and we're going to continue to talk about it.
Yeah, it's going to be an evolving situation, obviously. Like, it will change for so many reasons. Where the Kings end up being, the NCAA tournament's about to happen. We all know what happens for a lot of college players in those moments. That makes or breaks some of these guys' draft grades or whatever.
Yep.
Whatever they end up performing or looking like in the tournament. Look at Moses Moody. Guy had a great season all the way through. But if Arkansas doesn't go on that huge run to the Final Four, he doesn't probably get a lottery pick.
And things change very, very fast. I remember we traded Cousins. We go into that offseason having the 5th and the 10th pick. I was actually targeting De'Aaron Fox. I loved watching him in college. I thought we could have got him with the 10th pick. I was hopeful that we could potentially get Tatum at number 5. Obviously, that didn't work out. But De'Aaron Fox killed it in the tournament, and we ended up having to take him number 5. Mm-hmm. I was hoping we were going to take Monk with pick number 10, pair those guys together, but they just traded for Buddy Hield.
Yep.
So they end up trading that pick, and the rest is history. So like Calvin said, a lot of things can change here in the next couple weeks, couple months. Calvin and I will be in Vegas watching some of the March Madness games. Hopefully we can do a stream from there. And also, I think we're going to do, some draft lottery. We're going to do a draft lottery party, and then we're going to do, some draft breakdowns on some of these guys and try and figure out who's going to fit the team best.
Oh, yeah. We'll definitely have some serious draft coverage here between now and June 23rd is?
I don't know. I can't keep track anymore. There's the lottery. We're trying to figure out the lottery.
The lottery is like May 17th or something like that.
Yeah, May 20th.
May 20th.
Something like that. But all right, next up, let's take a look here at the standings. As you guys can see, they are not looking good here. They are in the 40-loss club. They've been for a couple games now, and there are only 6 teams in that club. Kings are rounding it out.
Yeah. There will be more by the end of the year, but not many more.
If they would have won this game tonight, this would have been huge. You take a look at the standings. They would have tied San Antonio for wins. If they beat them tomorrow, they would have leapfrogged them. They would have been tied with Portland and New Orleans for wins. The Lakers have been losing games as of late. We saw them lose to the Mavericks last night. They lost to the Pelicans a few nights earlier. It's just they needed to win this game tonight.
They did.
They really did. All right, next up, I want to show you guys something cool here for all my NFT fans out there. This is NBA Top Shots. I don't know if you guys are into this stuff or not. But
if you're not and you're just a basketball fan, this right here, what Barry's about to show you, is worth getting into NBA Top Shots alone, just for what they're offering here.
I got to find it. Just none of you guys outbid me here is the goal. It's probably stupid that I'm showing this here. But check this out. So they are currently auctioning off a one-of-one NFT for each team in the league. So there's going to be 30 of them. And these are all-star VIP passes. Take a look here at the Sacramento Kings. The auction ends on Sunday, so there's 3 days and 20 hours left on this auction. This is absolutely incredible what it includes here. a nice little, it's not a JPEG or a PNG. It actually moves, so maybe that makes it a little bit more valuable. The current bid is $10,000, which is a lot. But take a look here what it includes. And I will actually zoom in here to make it a little bit easier to look at. So this NFT includes, for 5 years, 2 lower bowl tickets to the NBA All-Star Game, also to the Clorox Rising Stars Game, 2 tickets to the AT&T Slam Dunk Contest, the Mountain Dew 3-Point Contest, and the Taco Bell's Skills Challenge. Remember, this is for all 5 years. I think it's like 2023 through 2027. It also includes a shoot-around with an NBA legend on the All-Star court, exclusive invite to an NBA reception, tour of the host arena with an NBA executive, inside access to All-Star planning, personalized All-Star itinerary with VIP support, on-court photo with the official NBA All-Star game court, VIP merchandise bag, an NBA All-Star jersey, and a bunch of NBA Top Shot packs here. I don't know why I'm showing you guys this, because I plan on bidding if the price doesn't go up too much. But if one of you guys outbid me and you end up winning, there's 2 tickets, so you can bring me along. You can bring me along with. But I just wanted to show you guys that. I think it's pretty cool. NFTs are wild, and just all these new experiences that they're adding. This is definitely something for the ultimate NBA fan and the ultimate Sacramento Kings fan. I've never been to an All-Star game, and honestly, I didn't watch much of the All-Star weekend this past week. But if you want to bring me along, I'm happy to go.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's kind of like baseball, right? Being at a baseball game is way more fun than watching it on TV.
Yes. Maybe Calvin and I will flip the Christie coin.
There you go.
To see who gets to go with you guys. Yes, Dennis, it's an auction. It ends on Sunday. The starting bid is $10,000.
It's an auction that's based on each individual team.
Yes.
So all the starting bids start at $10,000.
Yep.
But obviously for teams like the Lakers or the Celtics or something like that, you could imagine the price, the eventual selling price being much, much higher than it would be for a team like Sacramento.
I think the Lakers actually just ended today. Oh, wow. This price really jumped up. It was at like 15,000 earlier today, and it looks like it ended at 51,000. Holy cow. So yeah, Kings is a bargain. Kings is a bargain. All right, guys, it's break time again. But when we come back, we're going to take a look at the Kings' next week of basketball action with Kings Crusade.